In today's video, the FBI just released a major update regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. Secondly, the media is now crying about people being fired from their jobs for celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. And finally, the people of Memphis, Tennessee are continuing to contradict the mayor. They support the National Guard deployment. And all these stories will show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
Emily, a big part of this investigation now is looking into who knew what about this shooting and when did they know it. We have learned that the alleged assassin told at least 2 individuals that he was planning to kill Charlie Kirk because he hated what Charlie stood for. One of them was in a text message. The other was in a note the suspect left for his romantic partner at their home in southern Utah. Here is FBI Director Kash Patel describing that note this morning.
The suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home.
All right, so you heard the same thing that I did. This means that people knew this was coming. And obviously this points to this increasing idea that these far left radical groups online, somewhere in a Discord chat, somewhere in the internet, were already conspiring to assassinate Charlie Kirk. That's why also people are convinced that he didn't act alone. There were people in the crowd helping him pull this off. Now, obviously, we're going to have to wait for the FBI to speak on that very idea, but there is no question that there have been social media posts on social media showing people saying, yep, we finally pulled this off, and confirming as if they had already planned to do this.
That romantic partner who was cooperating with investigators is a male transitioning to a female. And you'll remember Charlie Kirk was shot right after being asked about trans mass shooters. Investigators are trying to determine if that was just a coincidence or if the person who asked that question was somehow involved. Here's FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino.
We're looking into everything, Bill. There's not going to be a stone left unturned if there was anyone involved who aided, abetted. I can't say that in strong enough terms. Every single FBI asset on this team is being applied and used in this investigation.
The alleged assassin will appear virtually for his hearing tomorrow, and we are told we will learn a lot more about this investigation ahead of that hearing when prosecutors formally file charges against him.
All right, so that's the big update in regards to the shooter. And the fact, again, that he wrote a note, it's already troubling. And so clearly somebody knew this was coming and didn't say anything. So hopefully they are held accountable. And this actually takes us to the first part of this video. So right now the president has called the term radical left lunatics. He's not talking about every Democrat out there. He's talking about people who are celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So obviously the media had to ask him about that. And here is the president's response. Take a look.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
Do you plan on investigating?
We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation. You know, they're already under major investigation. A lot of the people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
Okay, so what do we have? We have this story that is continuing to develop, which is turning into this debate about cancel culture. Now the left is crying that many of them have been fired, suspended, disciplined for celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now you have mainstream media joining the conversation, trying to tell their viewers that conservatives are not only wrong, but they are doing the very thing that they complained about. Now, you just heard what the president had to say. He's standing firm on what he believes is what's going on here, which is our country has a group of radical left lunatics who are not only celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, but they are calling for more assassinations towards prominent conservative figures. And so, of course, they would be investigated. Now, we'll also have some other updates from the FBI later in this video, but I first want to play CNN's reaction to all of this. Take a look.
Brian, Delta Airlines, American Airlines, United, they have said that they've suspended workers for some of their social media posts about Kirk's killing. We've seen reports of teachers and college professors being suspended for posts after he was shot. Washington Post opinion columnist Karen Attiah, she said that this morning she's been fired for her posts about political violence. What do you see in this clampdown in response?
Yeah, and some of Karen's posts about political violence were trying to point out that there's a long history in America of political violence. She says that her posts were called unacceptable by management and she was fired. So that's an example of the Washington Post. And at this point, there are hundreds of examples of people being fired from their jobs. Most of these people are not public figures. They were anonymous until a few days ago when this conservative campaign organized online targeting people that it says are attacking Kirk, bashing Kirk, blaming Kirk for his own death. You also have people out there who are performatively showing a lack of sympathy, saying, I'm not going to mourn for him. People, for example, sharing controversial comments from Kirk's past and saying, look what he was saying. He's part of the problem in America. So you have this now coordinated conservative campaign to try to get people fired for a wide range of opinions. And look, this is a new form of cancel culture. You know, something that the right complained about when, they were saying the left was targeting people 4, 5, 6 years ago. The truth is, cancel culture never goes away. It just changes shape.
Okay, now this is a serious point I want to make really briefly here. If you've been using credit cards to pay for your groceries, your gas, and your bills, and you're also eating that brutal interest rate, you got to pay attention. Because there's no reason why you should keep paying 20% or more to the credit card companies. That's why I encourage you to contact my friends at American Financing. They're helping people just like you save an average of $800 a month by doing what? Taking the equity in your home and helping pay off high interest debt. And here's the great part about it all. There are no upfront fees, no obligation, just a 10-minute call to a salary-based mortgage consultant. And if you start today, you could delay up to 2 mortgage payments, putting even more cash in your hands right now. So don't wait. Call American Financing at 866-890-8434. That's 866-890-8434, or visit americanfinancing.net/Devori. So what you saw there was CNN doing what they do best, which is trying to manipulate the narratives here, okay? The bottom line is you have people celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And legally, if they work for a private company, they could be fired ASAP. Now, obviously, if they work for the government or the city or the county, they're probably violating code of conduct, which is why they would probably be fired, okay? Now, just to show you how serious this has really become, here is what Vice President J.D. Vance just said on the Charlie Kirk Show this morning to the idea that we have to be unified. But the question is, how can we have unity with people who are celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Take a listen.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
All right, well, according to Breitbart News, this is their take. If you celebrate the assassination of a political opponent, you're unfit for any role of trust, not with children, not in healthcare, not in government, not anywhere. This isn't cancel culture, it's self-defense. A nation that empowers the deranged and the depraved is a nation marching toward ruin. And that actually speaks to the debate that is currently taking place, which is if someone is being fired because they celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk, is that a violation of their First Amendment right? No, it's not. They're not going to prison. They're not going to jail, okay? Their rights are not being stripped from them. So for all the people crying about cancel culture, here's the fundamental difference I see. Conservatives were being canceled because they had a difference of opinion on political issues. These people are being fired because they're celebrating the assassination of an American citizen. We are not the same. And that's why I want to get your guys' answers in the comment section below to this question. Do you believe that this is cancel culture for the people celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Do you believe they deserve to be fired? Is it a violation of their rights? Give me your answers in the comment section below. Now we're going to go to our second story here, and this is about more of the deranged reaction to this. Now, people have been celebrating with vigils of Charlie Kirk throughout the weekend, and in one of these memorials, I guess some radical left lunatic, as the president calls them, because here is the evidence of that, not only trampled through the memorial, but in some cases, one of them was actually set on fire. Take a listen.
What happened to Charlie was unspeakable, you know? Everyone is destroyed over this.
So Michael and his family created a memorial along their fence to honor the slain CEO of Turning Point USA. But late Saturday night, vandals lit the display on fire.
When they burnt that fence, that fire could have went into that house and it could have really harmed somebody.
It's the rhetoric. It's what people are being fed. There's so much hate in this world, and we need to stop.
The vandals also broke the back window of the family's SUV. Neighbors have rushed to provide them with support.
I saw the damage that had done to my friend, and it ruined me.
When we quit communicating with each other, when we stopped the dialogue, and we didn't, then we just dehumanized each other.
Okay. Yeah, see, these are the type of stories that definitely makes me upset. No question about it. These are innocent people. They have no dog in this fight, meaning they're not the president of the United States signing executive orders. You know, these are people just wanting to honor someone that they loved or they supported, and they have the right to do so without their memorial being burned to the ground. I mean, this is ridiculous. Let's continue to hear on this other memorial that was vandalized in front of Turning Point USA headquarters.
Man trampled a memorial for Charlie Kirk at the Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix. Our photographer on the scene says the man kicked over flowers, vases, and balloons. He was taken to the ground by an onlooker and then arrested for trespassing and destroying a community memorial. Phoenix police say the suspect is 19-year-old Ryder Corral. And then also an interesting observation. It appears that the man who trampled the memorial may have been wearing a similar shirt that the alleged assassin was wearing on the day of the shooting here in Utah. It appears there's a logo that has a United States flag and an eagle on it. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, definitely make of that what you will. And I'm going to call it sickening, just like Fox News did. 19 years old, by the way. He has been released after he was arrested, charged for blatantly trampling Charlie Kirk's memorial. Listen, there's his mugshot, as you guys can see here on the screen, and he is wearing literally the same shirt. I mean, this is another example of, like, there are areas in our country, places on the internet, places in these chat groups, like a Discord, for an example, that what they are discussing, it's some dark stuff. And I'm not too sure our political leaders are aware of it. Now, law enforcement might be aware of it because they have to investigate people all the time, and they look in these spaces. But you're going to find some people who are definitely mentally unwell. And when you have the emotional capacity to do something like this, that just shows you there's some screws loose. I mean, for the life of me, with all the dissent out there because of politics, I still cannot wrap my head around someone who wakes up in the morning, gets emotionally out of control, screams, chooses to burn things down, vandalize things, trample through a memorial, celebrate the assassination of someone. What is going through their mind? I'll tell you what's going through their mind: evilness.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half staff calling calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who were mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life.
Why, as a pastor, would you stand up there and make your sermon about Charlie Kirk? You're better off not saying anything at all. The fact that you wanted to bring that up and then call him a white supremacist or a racist shows me that you strayed far away from what you're supposed to be doing as a pastor. See, the only person who is allowed to condemn us is who? God himself, not you, pastor. That's not your position. Your position is to let God work through you. That's not God speaking. That's the devil speaking right there.
I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life.
All right, I appreciate your guys' patience because I know sometimes you don't actually like to hear what the other side is saying, especially when it gets this disgusting. But I want to show it to you because I'm telling you, you're going to have people who actually think like this in your life, and you have to understand how to respond. First thing is first, we know the Lord has called us to love our enemies no matter what. It's not a conditional thing. That's number one. Secondly, this pastor is clearly flirting with the idea that he's letting his righteous anger turn into bitterness. That's also a violation of what God wants for him, of course. And then lastly, it's not a question of whether or not Charlie Kirk deserves compassion. Automatically, he gets it because God has mercy on our souls. So, this is why the church gets a bad look, because they're focused on political rhetoric instead of on what the Bible is trying to teach us, which all of it originates from one word, love. Is that love what the pastor was just showing right there? No, that's bitterness. That's ego right there. That's pride. That's, I'm caught up in politics. I'm focused on my skin color, not on what the Lord wants for us. So it's just disgusting.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
Now, what you just saw there was a clip of the president responding to the question on whether or not the White House is going to start revoking visas for people who are openly celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, that actually takes us to this, some people are calling him some woke rapper from Britain, and some people believe his visa was just revoked. Just as a disclaimer here, this idiot, his visa was revoked back in June because he basically was calling for the IDF to be assassinated, all right? Now, here he is on stage over the weekend saying this about Charlie Kirk. Take a listen.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being. The pronouns was, were, because if you chat shit, you will get banned. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit.
All right, all you have to do is look at the flag that he had right there on the stage behind him. That's number one. Two, it was as clear as day as 1, 2, 3 ABC. He definitely not only said Charlie Kirk's name, but said rest in piss. So at that point, I think we know who we're dealing with. And as I told you guys, his visa had already been revoked back in June. All right. Now, here he is. And this is why I say, if you're going to say what you're going to say, just stand by it. I'd have more respect for you, but don't be, weak, because now you're getting all this backlash and now you're trying to backtrack, right? Here he is on social media denying that he is celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Take a listen.
Yo, real quick. At no point during yesterday's show was Charlie Kirk's death celebrated. At no point whatsoever did we celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. I did call him a piece of shit. That much is true. But at no point was his death celebrated. If it was, go find me a quote, go find me something that proves that we were celebrating his death. You're not going to find it because it didn't happen. What did happen is one reporter that bought their ticket online came with the sole purpose of finding something to report. And after I called him a piece of shit and we played a song, they have written that up as a celebration. Not a celebration, isn't a celebration, wasn't a celebration. Calm down.
Yeah, so maybe he should take his own advice and calm down because he's the one that brought Charlie Kirk up. He was all riled up at his show. He got all energized by saying rest in piss. So maybe he should look in the mirror on this one. And if that's not celebrating, I don't know what is. Now, to cap off this second part of this story, it's to give you this good clip from none other than Clown Lemon. And I'm going to continue to call him that because that's what he does to himself. He makes himself look like a clown. When he tries to do these man on the street interviews, he tries to get the answers he's looking for that's going to meet his hateful beliefs, especially about Charlie Kirk. But once he asked this woman, who just so happened to be black, which doesn't really matter, but I think in the context of Don Lemon, it does, she totally contradicts him. Take a look.
What do you think would happen to Charlie Kirk?
It's just messed up, totally messed up. You know, that was messed up. Like, nobody deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve that. He was a good guy.
You think he was a good guy?
I think he was.
You
Only
think?
Kirk
Good morals.
Captain Kirk.
The what?
The only Kirk you recognize is Captain Kirk. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I don't know who
You
that
don't
is.
know who it is?
I don't know who that is.
I know who it was. Like, you know,
I only know about him when
all of us have flaws. I can't really tell you what to believe in or how to feel. Like, everybody's having a human experience. Like, why knock him for having this human experience or what he believe in?
Even though even though he says things that are anti-women, black, all that.
I can't judge him for that.
You can't.
I can't judge him for that. But I can use judgment. He didn't deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
As a human being.
Yeah.
You are very spiritual.
You know, yeah. I can't go left. I can't go left with that.
No, you sound like, you mean left, going
yeah,
left,
like,
not left.
Because I'm
right.
humanity.
Yeah.
I'm humanity and left first.
No, I love that. So the first person I spoke to here didn't want to be on camera, and he said, I can't judge him because I'm not God. And so let him, let whatever the reaction is, if the government wants to give him a state-like funeral, if they let him do it because God is the only judge. And
yeah, like, nobody really can judge him.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of like seen him before all of this happened, but I don't see whatever everybody else was seeing. So,
Yeah. Hey, that's how you feel.
Yeah, anybody who gets into spirituality, especially on a level of truly trying to develop themselves and become closer with God, whether that is in the church, reading the Bible or studying books, whatever the case is, you end up arriving at conservative values every single time. I mean, it's just so interesting how that works. Because it's all about personal responsibility. It's all about not judging other people. It's actually about forgiveness and love. And no matter how you feel about someone like Charlie Kirk, just like no matter how we feel about a Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama, I wouldn't be going around celebrating if they got assassinated. I didn't celebrate Joe Biden when he got cancer. Okay. Now, we celebrated Kamala Harris losing an election, but that's not about life or death. Okay. That's politics. There's a difference there. And I just think, there's a lot of people in this country, people like Don Lemon, as you just seen, who says, yeah, but. And it's just interesting how the woman stood her ground. And if you think just like she does, you need to stay firm, okay? Don't allow these radical left lunatics, because that is what they are, to get you to doubt how you feel about this entire situation. All right, so now we move to our next update, and that is the president warning D.C. because local law enforcement has been instructed not to work with federal authorities. And also, we have some more stories coming out of Memphis, Tennessee, because they truly need help. Let's start here.
President Trump is warning Washington, D.C. that he will call a national emergency once again in the nation's capital if local police do not cooperate with immigration enforcement. He said this, and I'm quoting him now, "If I allowed this to happen, crime would come roaring back to the people and businesses of Washington, D.C. Don't worry, I am with you and won't allow this to happen. I'll call a national emergency and federalize if necessary," end quote. All this comes as Memphis, Tennessee is bracing for the potential arrival of the National Guard after the president said that city is his next target. The mayor there tells CNN he isn't happy about Trump's comments. Listen.
I'm certainly not happy about the National Guard. I am looking forward to trying to find ways to invest in the things that we're already doing to address crime in our city. At the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that if they are coming here, which we now know they are, that we are able to drive how they engage in our city.
Yeah, I think it's no secret how the mayor feels. And again, I already gave him credit for his response. It's been subdued at best, in my opinion. It's not overly emotional like a LA Mayor Karen Bass. I do want to point something out, though. This guard deployment needs to last at least 2 years. Let me explain why. See, when you send the National Guard in, just like after Katrina, for an example, once they leave, within a year, crime goes back up. Because we know what happens when you increase the presence of law enforcement, especially backed by military. Yeah, people are thinking twice, but once that image goes away, they get back to doing it, right? So I say leave the guard in place for 2 years. That gives enough time for the local police department to recruit and train and plus up on additional resources. And the great thing about all this, clearly the taxpayers are funding this. There's no doubt about it. But I believe in my heart that the American citizen would rather pay taxes when it comes to cracking down on crime than it is funding illegal immigration. Now, here is what two people had to say about this National Guard deployment to Memphis. Take a look.
And, you know, it's just so dangerous that you can't get out of your car. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to the market or the service station. So, yeah, I want to see the crime stop. And if the National Guard is going to stop the crime, bring them out.
One Memphian told us the decision to bring in the National Guard is long overdue.
The youngins, they getting outrageous and ridiculous. Yeah, we need them bad. They need to hurry up and call.
The owner of Centro Hispano, a Latino tax service in Hickory Hill for 15 years, is excited the Guard is coming and not worried about ICE.
We're grateful for the National Guard coming. As far as crime, that's more affecting us than immigration.
Now, I wonder why she's not worried about immigration. Oh, that's right, because she's probably doing the right thing. You see, the people who are the loudest, the people who are so worried are the people who are not in compliance. I mean, if you're following the law, you have nothing to worry about. Now, let's talk about this whole crime situation. I can't for the life of me accept that we live in a country where we have political leaders who are fighting against the federal government, providing a solution that cracks down on crime, particularly in cities and neighborhoods who are dominated by African Americans. So what you're telling me is you'd rather see more African Americans killed every single day. You'd rather see more African American children continue to commit crimes and not actually be held accountable because you hate President Trump. Now that right there is what I would call delusion. It's just pure evilness. And if you really do care about Black lives, if you guys have heard me say multiple times in regards to this point, you should be looking to work with this administration, especially when you hear stories like this one.
Meanwhile, another woman was carjacked this afternoon outside a grocery store on Kansas Street. Memphis police released this surveillance video of two suspects, one of them riding a bike. The victim was walking to her car when she heard someone running behind her. They put a gun to her face and she slipped and fell. The suspects demanded her car keys and drove off in her Honda CR-V. The car was found later at Humber Street and South Parkway. If you know who these men are, call Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, see, I think the better question is, even if they catch the criminals in this situation, will they actually be held accountable? Because you have the policing aspect, but then you also have the justice system. And as we've seen in North Carolina, some of these justice systems in these states are not actually living up to what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so now I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let's first start with that pastor. I mean, you want to talk about righteous anger, becoming bitter and prideful and ego in his response. I mean, I don't think that was God speaking. Let me know if you guys agree with that. Secondly, what do you make of the FBI's update? There was a note that was left. Multiple people knew before and after. Do you believe the FBI is going to track these people down and hold them accountable? Let me know what you guys think about that. And then finally, this whole Memphis situation. Okay, do you believe the president is right to deploy the National Guard to this city? Give me all your thoughts and everything that we discuss in this video in the comments section below. Now, in our next video, Senator John Fetterman out of Pennsylvania had some strong words for his party. He's calling out their disgusting behavior in response to the Charlie Kirk assassination and more. So if you missed out on that story from yesterday and more, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.